Office. No phone calls, no messages, nothing but junk mail and overdue bills to keep me company. Seems nobody wants to hire a real private dick anymore, a professional like me. A guy who does the detective work nobody else wants to do. A guy who wears hats and walks around in a black and white world. I began contemplating a more profitable line of work, like politics. We are the show! You want to know. It's time to talk to Joe.
All right, folks. Good afternoon and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. You can join the conversation for the next hour at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. That will get you into the studio for two-way talk and conversation today back at HQ Find the Board. And again, 508-871-7000. Our text line is up and running, 617-297-8388, 617-297-8388. It appears on the screen here in real time. We try to work it into the conversation. Broadcasting from the Cameo studios, and the Cameo cam is on. You can watch and listen to the show while it streams on X, Facebook, LinkedIn, profile there, as well as Twitch TV and live on the Rumble channel as well. And don't forget, you can always check it out on Twitch TV, the new streaming channel. And the station does broadcast 24/7 on the TuneIn app. You can tell Alexa, play WCR, and she'll do it with no questions asked as well. So yesterday was a interesting day, a lot going on, folks. So I'm going to touch in on a few topics. You're welcome to chime in on these, as well as bring up something else that you may want to talk about as well. But Elon Musk, in an interview with Hannity, and we watched this whole thing play out yesterday, that SpaceX went up with the Dragon capsule. Now, we used the term rescue stranded astronauts. Now, they did rescue them in the sense that they were there for almost 9 months from an 8-day space trip. Yeah, liken it to Gilligan Island, right? A 3-hour tour turns into how many years they were on the island. So they were stranded, but they weren't stranded in the sense that, their life was in danger. They were on the space station, and it was a matter of getting a ride home. And they didn't want to get the ride home, or they couldn't get the ride home because of the Boeing capsule. Had a lot of problems with that. Boeing has had a lot of problems, right? I mean, across the board on all their crafts. And this is something that is not, hey, if it's a Boeing, I'm not going type of thing right now. So it was a matter of making space and making them come home. But we were watching this happen yesterday, and then, we juxtaposed this to Senator Kelly and that stupidity over there, which we'll talk about. But on Hannity, Elon revealed, I guess is the way to put it, that SpaceX offered to bring these stranded NASA astronauts home months ago. Yeah, months ago. Wait for it, though. See, the Biden administration said no thanks for political reasons. Political reasons? How are you politicizing this? Well, that's right, folks. For politics was apparently more important than getting our astronauts safely back to Earth. These men and women signed up to be pioneers in space, absolutely, and not political pawns. Let's be clear about this. SpaceX wasn't just look, these men and women, they signed up, and SpaceX wasn't just some backup option. It's the only reason we still have a manned space program at all. NASA that was there when I was a kid or even an adult doesn't exist anymore. It still exists, but what they were doing in the space display, the programs, right? When did we last go to the moon? 1973? Well, it's the only reason that we still have a manned space program right now is SpaceX. But instead of celebrating the fact that private industry and government work together to get them home, you got Senator Mark Kelly, himself a former astronaut. And what does he do? Instead of acknowledging this success, instead of saying, hey, this is a great example of what America does best, he goes after Musk. Petty, small-minded, and completely predictable here. So the political reasons that we're told are and apparently the astronaut confirmed this. The Biden people didn't want the rescue of these astronauts by Musk, who is associated with Trump, right before the election. They didn't want any momentum. They didn't want the optics of this. So they're putting those astronauts in danger. And make no mistake about it, folks. Every moment you're sitting on a space station or a capsule circulating the Earth in low orbit is dangerous. There's a zillion and one things that can go wrong at any time. And that's it. Meanwhile, while Musk is out there building rockets and literally saving lives, we've got deranged leftists vandalizing Tesla dealerships, torching cars in what can only be described, quite frankly, as domestic terrorism. And you know what's amazing? The same media that hyperventilates over MAGA extremism, nowhere to be found when it's their side committing actual violence. The left seems to get all panties in a twist over what they think Trump might do, could do. Whoopi Goldberg round us all up. Well, we can look at the things people on the left and the party members of the left actually are doing between the hoaxes and the lying and the cover-ups. But where are they to talk about this? Nowhere to be found on their side. Speaking out again, well, actual violence is being committed. And the late night talk show morons out there, well, they're hilarious and they don't mean to be in this way. They're out there cracking jokes about sticking it to the billionaire as if burning private property and attacking American innovation is something to be proud of, when it's their side committing actual violence. You want to know why America is in decline? Look no further than the people cheering at this garbage, folks. And speaking of ridiculous, we can't forget about the Minnesota governor, Tim Walz, right? Tampon Tim. And he apparently thinks he's the tough guy that MAGA voters are terrified of. Yeah, he thinks Trump supporters, Trump voters, are intimidated and scared of him. That's fair, folks. You can't make this stuff up. This failed VP candidate who still can't figure out why he lost is now out here saying Trump supporters are scared of his masculinity. His masculinity. And I quote, because he can fix a truck. Really? This is the guy who couldn't load the shotgun. Remember that? I don't know what's funnier, the fact that he actually believes this or the fact that the internet roasted him into oblivion within minutes. If you have to tell people that you're masculine, I've got bad news for you, buddy. You're not. Masculine people don't have to point it out. Intelligent people don't have to point it out. Even wealthy people don't talk about money. You don't have to. If you're really the tough guy in the room, or the masculine one in the room, or the smartest one in the room, everybody figures it out for themselves. And let's not forget the absolute economic disaster the Biden administration keeps pushing. We're all paying more at the grocery store, watching our retirement accounts take a beating and wondering how much more we can take at the gas pumps. The White House, or the former White House, was talking about Bidenomics and pushing this, which of course, Bidenomics was just the art of spending trillions of dollars. There wasn't new money. It was tax money or printed money. It was killing jobs, and they were pretending that this was progress. And we're being gaslit on that on an industrial scale. And the media just nods and goes along like puppets. But meanwhile, in a very short time under the Trump administration, we have seen gas prices drop. Even egg prices have dropped. You know, one of the ways to get eggs, to come down in price? Stop killing all the chickens. Seems pretty simple there. and millions of chickens were slaughtered by Biden staffers because of proximity, not because they tested with the avian flu or anything. Here's the thing, folks. We're not buying it, and we saw what happened. We see what is happening. We see the corruption, the incompetence, the outright hostility towards everyday Americans. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Because I'll tell you this much, if we don't start demanding accountability, and if we don't start pushing back against this insanity, it's only going to get worse. And I, for one, am not willing to sit back and let that happen. Now, Schumer has canceled his book tour because of security reasons, but he did find his way onto The View, and I don't know if you caught any of that. But at one point, he's lecturing that the problem are the wealthy billionaires who are saying, I worked hard for my money and I don't want you, the government, come taking all my money. It's mine and I worked hard for it. And he's saying it like a bad thing. And this is what I question. And I ask now, folks, when did the shift happen that government forgot that they are not wealthy, that the money they use are citizens' money, that it is a citizen government, and that they're just people we elect to run the day-to-day stuff for us. And it's not a matter of the government allowing or giving us an allowance. It's about us under threat of imprisonment and worse here to give a portion of our money to the government to be run. And when Schumer comes out with these kind of statements, you're saying, do you think that you're entitled to that money? Do you think that it's all your money and you're just going to let us take enough to live on? What is this attitude? And have you noticed this? I remember a clip of some committee where this woman was talking about the inheritance tax. And the argument was, why are you taxing something? All that money that's being left to the heirs have been taxed when it was made and used and saved and earned. It's a crazy clip. When did this kind of attitude that the money belongs to the government and it's theirs to take as much as they want? So Schumer, get a clue as he lectured us on the evil of wanting to keep the majority of what you earn. It's crazy, folks. We're going to take our first break here on the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. 508-871-7000. Hey, back in 2 in 10, folks.
Looking for guidance as you face a future on Social Security? It's hard to figure out on your own. The MedicareAdvisors.com is a completely independent insurance agency specializing in Medicare insurance planning. We work with the top insurance companies so we can offer our clients the best coverage for them. We design plans with a focus on low costs, which we combine with personalized insurance advice aimed at helping our clients make better informed decisions. Russ Swallow is a certified senior advisor and a licensed insurance advisor. He's been helping clients with their health insurance needs since 1970. And after a failed attempt at retirement, he created the Medicare Advisors in 2000. Russ concluded that since Medicare is health insurance, he might as well put his almost 50 years of health insurance experience to good use, as 75,000 people reach age 65 in Massachusetts every year, and they can use some help. Call Russ today at 508-831-0805. Put his years of personal experience to work for you as you try to unravel the complexities of Social Security.
Are you ready for a change? Do you need a job that works around your schedule? How about driving your own kids to school and getting paid for it? AA Transportation is offering paid CDL training with regular permit classes that get you on the road. They have immediate openings for school bus and van drivers, as well as monitors across several districts. All you need is a good driving record with at least 5 years experience, a clean quarry, the ability to pass a pre-employment drug screening and DOT physical. If you already have a school bus or 7D certificate, join us now and earn up to $30 an hour with guaranteed minimum hours, health and dental benefits, plus a 401k. And for those experienced coach bus drivers out there, we have a position for you too. This is perfect for parents, retirees, or anyone who enjoys being behind the wheel. Call Lori at 774-361-5042. That's 774-361-5042. Start your journey with AA Transportation.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second segment here of the Wednesday afternoon edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. And you can join the conversation for the remainder of the hour at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. Get you into the studio for two-way talk and conversation. You can also text into the show at 617-297-8388, 617-297-8388. And let's not forget that I do stream the show on the Cameo Cam, coming from the Cameo studios today, so you can watch it on X, Facebook, Twitch TV, LinkedIn profile, or live in Rumble if you'd like to. But this Tim Walz thinking that his masculinity scares Trump voters is a little bit funny here. And I have to warn you, this story might make you laugh so hard you're going to spit out some coffee on it, because the guy who is Kamala Harris's running mate and still can't figure out why they lost went on Gavin Newsom's podcast, and he actually said that Trump supporters are scared of his masculinity, and I kid you not. He claims MAGA voters are intimidated because he can fix a truck. And it's bull crapping about it. Yeah, because that's the first thing we think of when we hear Tim Walz, macho man, tough guy. I mean, he said something like, I think I can take most of these guys. Seriously, what is this? Have you noticed just how juvenile the left gets with this? First of all, setting these Teslas on, something's going to happen with this Tesla, something bad. It's already bad that's vandalism and destruction of private property, folks. But it's going to happen, and somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody at the dealership, maybe in this car, maybe there's a dog, or God forbid, a child is in the car when they put a Molotov cocktail on a Tesla. And now they're keying Teslas. What is that accomplishing? Anyone that is driving a Tesla already paid for it, right? I do not understand that. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Let's go to the phones. Mark has been waiting patiently. Hey, Mark, what say you?
Well, another dismal failure. Another dismal failure by the evil Trump administration and Dr. Evil, Elon Musk.
Dr. Evil.
Another dismal failure. Right? You see it yesterday, bada boom, bada bing, bada boom, bada bing. Out in the ocean, pick them up. He did it on pennies on a dollar.
Yeah.
And then NASA, they got the balls to put their feed on not what is their work, but what is on SpaceX work, and they put the NASA symbol on it like they're the ones behind it. They had little or nothing to do with what you saw yesterday. They were all subcontractors to NASA. NASA paid them, the subcontractors, which is SpaceX, which is owned by you-know-who, Elon Musk. So, way to go, Elon.
Yeah. Yeah, Mark, it was such a strange thing to watch this going on, which normally, wouldn't we have all gathered around the TVs or our computer screens? We would have watched this together. It would have brought us all kind of, together in this one sense of, like we did on the spacewalk, like anything else, And instead, it's politicized. The media is downplaying it because Elon has his, it has to do with Elon. And thank you for the call, by the way, Mark. Greatly appreciate it. And to watch what was going on, and then watching, against the backdrop of in this Vegas, right, this dealership that multiple cars are set on fire. And this guy was loved by the left, and he was cheered for being so intelligent, so brilliant, fighting climate change with the electric vehicles, SpaceX and exploration, colonizing other planets, the Neuralink that's going to allow paralyzed people to walk again, or those that don't have the ability to be able to use computers by thought alone. Think about that, by thought, which means eventually you can use a computer, but then you'll be able to travel and drive and maybe fly someday with thought. And he has a lot of other things that people don't even talk about, right? The tunneling systems with the magnetic trains that are going the speed of sound and all that. Just let the guy go. And Elon Musk is a once in a lifetime, once in a generation type of brilliance with Tesla and others. It's just crazy that now they're so hateful with him. And the thing about it is they celebrated how brilliant this man is. And when he looks at what's going on in the government and he says, oh, the country's headed off the cliff. We're headed to bankruptcy, and things, if this country sinks, we all sink. Let me do what I can to help that from not happening. And the same brilliance that they admired, they're now criticizing, and they want to hurt this man. And for some reason, they think that the fact that he's become the richest man in the world because of his brilliance, now he should be punished for it. And that he makes millions of dollars a day in government contracts. But unlike the money that gets funded to NGOs and these charities that politicians make, those are contracts that are legitimate contracts that a service or product is provided for a fee that was agreed upon. It's just called commerce, you morons. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Let's go back to the phones. Tyler's been waiting patiently. Hey, Tyler, what's up, man?
Well, by vandalism, some ass snapped a tree off this baby sapling and took it with him.
Oh.
I got a BB through my window. I get ambush makeover crisis manufacturing because I speak the truth and step up. And this is what you get. People are crazy. And Joe, to correct what you said, everything you said is right except one thing.
What's that?
They loved Elon Musk. They loved him before he joined the Star Wars and the good guys. The only love they have is of money. And I mentioned this, I studied this, I've seen it with my own eyes. I mentioned people that they use gas-powered tools and people with an axe to grind. So you and I enjoy and enhance with a little fun and celebration. These drug-fueled, gas-powered tools are full of rage and bitterness. And then they think going after the Tesla dealership where they were doing service repair. These are junkie monkeys goofed up on drugs that are bitter and angry and these imbeciles think that they make themselves feel better by putting a bullet through my window or breaking my tree and taking it with them. They're just fools. They don't represent us. They don't represent America. They're of the devil. They become the devil, and they'll go back to return because when you serve the devil will serve you. It's all a circle of karma. We don't have to be concerned by what they're doing, but we do have to create protection. You got to put cameras up around every Tesla dealership. You're 100% right.
Hey, Tyler, on that point, Tyler, let me point something out because do you know there were typically depending on the model, but there were 9 cameras on a Tesla, an average Tesla vehicle, 8 internal cameras and an exterior camera. So these people are going, whoever's committing these crimes, and they are crimes, and yes, it's argued that it's domestic terrorism, they're going to be photographed. They're going to be recorded, right? These Teslas are incredibly smart computers on wheels, and they have multiple cameras, not to mention the security at these dealers. So yeah, the question is, Tyler, will they be prosecuted? Will somebody who threw a Molotov cocktail onto a Tesla car at a dealership, will they do jail time? The government, Pam Bondi, she can try to go under some federal charges, right? But will these DAs in these cities, who are usually blue cities, and a lot of them are Soros-backed, will they prosecute, let's put it this way, will they prosecute those people like they would a Republican?
Well, In Portland, after the massive assaults and looting and burning, they didn't get prosecuted. The outdoor FBI group rode up to gun motorcycles and said Antifa was there.
Yeah.
So you may have local corruption and fraud that refuses to prosecute, but the FBI, like you just said, they're national. They're mostly 99% good. So hopefully this is a domestic act of terrorism. It's a pattern. Hopefully they'll be federally prosecuted. And remember, when crimes go across state lines, that's also jurisdictions for the FBI to get involved. So I would hope so, because if you don't hold them accountable, I heard these idiots say, if in my case, if you don't do anything, they'll keep doing it. Well, the undercover cops in the FBI have been doing them for 20 years. You can have official, don't do anything or we'll take away your funding. But trust me, the streets and the cops and the feds, they find a way right and fix the wrong, because most of us are good.
All right. Tyler, thank you for the call. Always appreciate it. Always a good call, folks. You can join the conversation here on the Joe Mangiacotti Show at 508-871-7000 for the remainder of the hour. That's 508-871-7000. So basically, MAGA voters are mocking this. Okay. And he was all upset because I think Jesse Waters said something about the way he drank from a straw, even how he handled the shotgun. Well, we all watched it. So we all have our own opinions. So Tim, buddy, if people are mocking you, it's not because they fear you. Trust me. It's because you look ridiculous. And there's a big difference to that. Okay. And when he came up on this, social media jumped all over it. Right? Tampon thinks he's Rambo and he's really Elmo Fudd. Don't confuse fear with cringe. If you have to convince people you're masculine, you're not. So look, masculinity isn't about telling people how tough you are. It's about being strong, confident, and capable. And this guy sounds like he's trying way too hard to prove something there, folks. Democrats love to talk about masculinity when it suits them. Remember, we were being told by Jen Psaki and those that Doug Emhoff is the new example of masculinity. Well, they spent years attacking traditional masculinity, calling it toxic. But now for political reasons, they want to suddenly embrace it when they need to look tough. These are the same people who say masculinity is toxic until it's election time, and then, they all want to be John Wayne here. And Walsh just doesn't understand why they lost. And it had less to do with the messengers, which it had a lot to do with the messengers, because it was Kamala and you. And it had a lot to do, I would normally say, with the message itself. But in your case, it was a lack of a message. That's where the problem was in the last election, folks. We're going to take our mid-show break here on the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. So stick with us. I'll be back on the other side. So that's only going to be 2 minutes, 10 seconds, folks.
Time now for the forecast from the Boston Independence Group Weather Center. Call Jerry Doherty today at 877-772-1776. Retirement is within reach.
I'm meteorologist Sherry Spear, and here's the latest Boston 25 weather on Radio 830 WCRN. It's going to be mostly sunny today with highs in the 60s for most and some beach 50s. Overnight tonight, we're going to fall back into the 40s in most spots, and with that, we're going to get increasing clouds and some developing fog and mist. And tomorrow's going to be a little bit dreary as we hang on to those clouds. One more day of 50s ahead of a cool down and a rainy turn that we'll take at the end of the week. I'm meteorologist Sherry Spear, and you can hear Boston 25 live for the morning drive weekdays on AM 830 WCRN.
More live and local radio is next. Stay tuned to Radio Central 830 WCRN.
Looking for guidance as you face a future on Social Security? It's hard to figure out on your own. The MedicareAdvisors.com is a completely independent insurance agency specializing in Medicare insurance planning. We work with the top insurance companies so we can offer our clients the best coverage for them. We design plans with a focus on low costs, which we combine with personalized insurance advice aimed at helping our clients make better informed decisions. Russ Swallow is a certified senior advisor and a licensed insurance advisor. He's been helping clients with their health insurance needs since 1970. 1970. And after a failed attempt at retirement, he created the Medicare Advisors in 2014. Russ concluded that since Medicare is health insurance, he might as well put his almost 50 years of health insurance experience to good use, as 75,000 people reach age 65 in Massachusetts every year, and they can use some help. Call Russ today at 508-831-0805. Put his years of personal experience to work for you as you try to unravel the complexities of Social Security.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second half of the Wednesday afternoon edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show here on AM 830 WCRN. Reminding you that we do stream the show, not just on the TuneIn app and so forth, but I stream my shows on my social media platforms at Joe Mangi, M-A-N-G-I. So that's X, Facebook, Twitch TV, LinkedIn profile, and live on the Rumble channel. So multiple ways to join us, and the Cameo Cam is running. 508-871-7000. Let's jump back to the phones. Ken is waiting patiently. Hey, Ken, what's up?
Good afternoon, Joe. Well, I guess Gavin Newsom isn't very busy these days, huh? At least being governor.
Huh.
But other things to do, like interview politicians at least 1, 2, or 3 a week.
And a lot of conservative icons, conservative media people, right? Charlie Kirk and so forth. And obviously, I mean, does it have to be said, Ken, he's clearly positioning himself for the run at the Oval, maybe in 28. What else is he doing?
I'd like to, it's a really bizarre in that among the people that it takes to get the nomination, his popularity is sinking rapidly. It's by the day.
See, Ken, I think you bring up a great point. How does he get the nomination? Because if he doesn't go crazy left and get that support, he doesn't get the nomination. But if he has to go that far crazy left, just like the Republicans have had in the past, when they've been too far fringe right, that they can't win the general, right? And that's something, will the activists in the Democratic Party realize that they've got to put forward a fairly moderate candidate, because it's decided with the middle. It's not decided with the fringe right or left. Can he get the nomination if he's acting in, and I say acting, reasonable?
Well, here's the bottom line. I think he looks at what's going on. We're living out each week as though it's month, and things are changing so fast that he's doing it like, oh, I'm not really running until like 20 years from now, old time. So, think of how Nixon changed his profile. I'll just do the same thing.
Well, the thing that always scares me with the left is they literally say, and this is the advice that the Raging Cajun gave and some others, is act this way to get elected, and then do what you want and do your fringe left policies once you got the power. So they've literally said what used to not be said publicly, used to not be said openly, is pretend it, fake it, just get elected, and once you're elected, you can do what you want anyway.
No, that's the old rules. Things have changed so fast. I mean, here's an example too, is what Schumer's up to. I guess he had it planned ahead of time to go on a book tour, and things got all turned upside down the last 2 weeks.
But think about that. He cancels his book tour because of security reasons. But the threats are coming from his own party. It's not security reasons because there are Republicans or conservatives that want to do him harm. It's his own party people or people on the left that want to do him harm because they don't like that he voted. Again, not for the merit of the legislation or for the merit of how that's going to help the country. It was, you didn't vote against it because it was for Trump, period. And the left can't deal with the merit or the points of an argument. They live in this world of just anti-Trump, hence Trump derangement syndrome.
So effectively, he lives in the world where his allies are only thinking one thing: fight.
Yeah.
Fight. and he's not considered a fighter anymore, so they got to get rid of him. Like literally, I think it was the CBS Morning News that caught a clip where Gail King had this sullen look on her face. It's like, you're so old. You're the has-been. Why are you even here? You know, and I'm thinking, oh, he's not far enough left for you, Gail?
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's another point, Ken, right? And I don't know if they get this yet, but politicians and the media people who were compliant with the cover-up on Joe Biden's mental cognitivity and abilities don't have any credibility now. And I don't know if it's fully digested for them that nobody believes you. We know what you did now. We know that you knew that this man was not qualified to become president. But once he was president, you had plenty of time to question his ability to govern, and you didn't do it. A matter of fact, you told us he was the sharpest he's ever been. You told the American people that anybody questioning it or pointing it out was a right-wing conspiracy theorist, or they were just mean-spirited, or whatever the case was. So now these people, how can you take them seriously? How can you believe anything? And I'm talking about the Schumers as well as Gail and every other person in these MSNBC, NBC, CNN that went along with the cover-up, Ken. They're just not trustworthy now.
But we need to have fun over this. So what we have to do is always refer now to the auto pen administration. Because literally, did you hear what's going on in government buildings?
About all the vacant buildings that are costing us tens of millions of dollars a year in leases, and they're empty? Those ones?
Yeah, but literally what they're doing is they're hanging up a picture of 45 and 47.
Yeah, I saw Trump put that out. His 45 official, his 47, right. And they've got the picture of the auto pen in the middle.
In between.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
And you got it. And the great thing about the 45 picture, it's him, with a broad smile, like, he's got this image of, can you believe I made president? And then you got a picture of him at 47. You remember the first time he was in court and they had that serious look, and he's got that real serious, now we're going to get him look.
Yeah, and also he's having a lot of, for the other photograph thing that he's having fun with, Ken, is the mug shot, which he has beautifully framed outside the Oval. And so everybody going to the Oval has to take a glance at the mugshot picture on the way in, which I think is pretty funny. But the other thing is this this song. Did you see it kind of went viral? The montage of the criminal aliens getting on the plane, getting their head shaved, and entering that prison, Venezuelan, real ex-prison, whatever it is, and they're playing it to closing time. So now the band is coming out, and they're all upset because they didn't get. And I'm thinking to myself, didn't you learn a lesson from the Village people? Because when he started using YMCA, all of a sudden their sales went through the roof, right? People were downloading it and playing it, and they're making millions now because Trump brought back YMCA, which usually we only heard at a wedding. Why wouldn't they just say nothing? And because you can't tell me that song wasn't going to get downloaded, people weren't going to go play it, and they weren't going to do other montages to it. But that's okay. You're cutting your nose off to spite your face by you're cutting a revenue potential that you're having. I don't know why they just don't think this thing through.
It just feels so strange. We're the cool kids. They're the idiots.
Yeah. Yeah. And the bottom line, that's true. Yeah. All right.
And you're talking about Tesla.
Say again?
Yeah. You're talking about Tesla.
Yeah.
And, there's been a couple things. A week ago or so, it was all about the charging stations. And this week, it's about people scratching up. They had a film, as you were describing, they have all these cameras. There's a guy that's got like a multicolored jacket. And on the side of it, it's got USA. But this guy was pretending to be something other than he wasn't. And they show him just, along his hip. He grabs out his car keys and he scratches up the Tesla. And somebody comes up to him, hey, we just had you. Damn it. We know you did it. And he, no, I didn't do it. It's like, they're stupid.
No.
They can't be any dumber. And then on top of it, this last week when they were both torching the charging stations, one guy set himself on flame.
I didn't hear that one. Well, you
Well,
knew that was going to happen, right?
What they're all about.
When you start putting people who aren't the brightest people to begin with, and they start mixing Molotov cocktails, gasoline, or kerosene, or whatever they're using, you know something's going to happen, right? Somebody's going to end up setting themselves on fire. I didn't hear this story. I didn't see it, but I'm not surprised.
And then you got all the stories coming out about Boasberg.
Lori Boat? Okay.
Did you realize
What
he
are
was
you
on
talking
the
about? What
FISA
story?
court? He was on the FISA court.
Oh,
He knew about-
the judge.
about
Yeah.
what he was doing.
Yeah, look, here we go
Yeah,
again. Here we go again. Have you noticed
signed
these
off on it.
judges?
Fine.
Look, these judges, first of all, this guy, that he's so outside of his lane on this. That's not the type of judge he is and where he's at. And he's a judge that was on the FISA court and knowingly allowed false information to pass through that court. This whole impeachment thing, I think it's about time that we start calling judges out for being activists and not taking the information in front of them. And the judiciary's role is to weigh everything against the constitutionality of things. And when you start looking into them, right? And, Marchand's daughter was making a fortune from the Democratic Party. Now this guy has some conflict. So yes, let's see where that goes. I don't think that a district judge like that should be able to affect national policy and national security.
His daughter was making money off of the lefty funds. And his wife put $5K into Democrat coffers.
I'm telling you, it's all very
Roman
incestual. It's all part of the swamp.
Oh.
And that's why I think a lot of these things have to be done with maybe 3 panels. Now, some things are done with panels, not just a single judge. But maybe we have to put more of that in place, Ken, so that one activist judge who can violate his position and his authority can't alter and affect what is in essence national security and foreign policy all at the same time. And that's what this guy's doing. So in other words, stay in your lane. You got way out over your skis, dude. And I hope that
Hey, when it comes to
go ahead.
When it comes to these cockroaches, it's time for light, cameras, action.
You got it. All right, Ken. Thank you for the call. Greatly appreciated. Always a great call. All right, 508-871-7000, folks. That's how you join the conversation. And you can join the conversation for the remainder of the hour. We're going to have to take our third and final break here on the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. We'll come back with our fourth and final segment in 2 minutes and 10 seconds, folks.
Looking for guidance as you face a future on Social Security? It's hard to figure out on your own. The MedicareAdvisors.com is a completely independent insurance agency specializing in Medicare insurance planning. We work with the top insurance companies so we can offer our clients the best coverage for them. We design plans with a focus on low costs, which we combine with personalized insurance advice aimed at helping our clients make better informed decisions. Russ Swallow is a certified senior advisor and a licensed insurance advisor. He's been helping clients with their health insurance needs since 1970. And after a failed attempt at retirement, he created the Medicare Advisors in 2014. Russ concluded that since Medicare is health insurance, he might as well put his almost 50 years of health insurance experience to good use, as 75,000 people reach age 65 in Massachusetts every year, and they can use some help. Call Russ today at 508-831-0805. Put his years of personal experience to work for you as you try to unravel the complexities of Social Security.
Polar Park is the place to play, so treat yourself to a private suite at the best ballpark in AAA. Suite rentals are the best way to enjoy a fully catered and climate-controlled experience at the park. Whether you choose to watch the game from inside of the suite or out in your seats, it's the ultimate experience for a special occasion. Visit woosocks.com or call 508-500-8888 to reserve your suite today.
Looking for a fitness experience that's more than just a gym? Welcome to Atlantic Athletics. Our coach-guided approach ensures that you move safely while you train. Personalized nutrition advice and 5-star ratings on Facebook, Yelp, and Google set us apart. Located in Leicester, Massachusetts, we invite you to a free, no-obligation assessment. Call 508-892-8085. Atlantic Athletics, where you're not just a member, you're family. Let's become the best version of you together.
All right, folks, welcome back to the fourth and final segment here on the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. And you can join the conversation for the remainder of the hour at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. And of course, text line, it's up and running, 617-297-8388. And I got a text in from 873, bunch of tards. Oh, Clark protesting misgenderism. Okay, so there's a protest going on at Clark right now. The misgendering thing, it's just, I think the decorum on this, I don't know, what say you on this, 508-871-7000. If somebody wants to identify as a male or female and they make it known to you, okay, do the courtesy of addressing them how they would like to be addressed. But if you say ma'am or excuse me, sir, and they identify as the opposite, and that's a mistake, that they present themselves as a man. You can tell it's a biological man, but they let their hair grow and they want to be identified as she and her. And you say, excuse me, sir. When they take off on you, that to me is absolutely wrong. Because if you present as a man and you're referred to as a man, you need to accept that that's going to happen. Now, if you politely inform that person, maybe you, that, you identify as a female, your pronouns are he, her, she, her. Okay, that's one thing. But you see these examples of when people go ballistic on somebody, when they misgender them. If you present, and I mean visually present, if your voice seems to be very low in a man-like voice, you know that you're going to be referred to as sir or him or something of that nature. Now, if you've got somebody that after they've been informed, you identify as a female or your pronouns are her, she, and the person is misgendering you out of spite or to aggravate you, yeah, that's a different story. So I'm not sure, what are you going to protest here? Because part of freedom of speech and living in a free country, folks, is not only can you say what you want and what you'd like, short of fire in a crowded theater, is that, and you can say it without fear of retribution or prosecution, but it also means you can't be forced to say anything you don't want to say. That is also freedom of speech. And it doesn't mean that other people have to buy into your situation. So you got to remember that it does go both ways. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Let's go to the phones. Tom has been waiting patiently. Hey, Tom, what say you?
Hey, how's it going? You know what I call him when I see it's a she, but it's a he? I call him an it.
An it. And do you do that to be neutral, or are you trying to get under their skin?
To get under their skin, they're little, when they're not even classified as a sex. They should not. There's only male and female. If they don't like it, go to the island of Lesbos and the island of Aegean for the last 3 centuries. That's where they hang out. The Lesbos and the gays, they hang out. They got their own nation down there. Why are they in the U.S.? Hey, also, on this domestic terrorist.
Wait a minute. I got to back up to that for a second. I'm sorry. Are transgender people should be kicked out of the country? I don't know what you mean by that. Have your own get out of the country.
There's only two
Genders.
sexes, male or female.
Okay.
Right. They only had Adam and Eve in the Garden of Paradise. They didn't have it. They didn't have he, she's, she, it's, or she dogs. They didn't have all this stuff. God only made two sexes. He didn't make a variety of like sodas, you know.
Okay, but what I'm trying to understand, Tom, hold on a second. What I'm trying to understand you're saying is that if somebody who, and it is dysphoria, right? That this is actually a clinical term, and it is a situation that people feel that their bodies don't match who they are internally. That they have the XY or the XX chromosome, but they feel the opposite. That does happen. That is gender dysphoria. It is a thing. What are you suggesting people who have that condition? What should we do with them? It sounds like you're saying that they should be treated less than.
Of course, the parents are the cause of this crap. If the parents would have brought up their kids with a heavy hand, you wouldn't have all this problem.
No, that doesn't change how they're born. People, Tom. People are born, okay? And just like saying people were born gay or lesbian, that the parents made them that way, or they had a choice. They don't. It's not a matter of choice. You were born gay or straight. You were, and you're born on the spectrum on that. And people who were born with gender dysphoria, they didn't have a choice. That's how they're born, and nor is it the parents. Okay, now I understand what you're saying, because at one time, somebody who was born with gender dysphoria, and maybe they were a little boy, and if they showed feminine traits, it would have been, well, sometimes literally beaten out of them, but it would have been a lot of parents would have, in their mind, tried to correct it, correct? Right? They would have.
They should have. That was their responsibility.
That's a matter of opinion, not fact.
Abuse.
Yeah.
No, it's fact.
No, that's not fact.
By these parents not clamping them, that's child abuse. They didn't.
Wait, what's child abuse, Tom?
They didn't teach them responsibility. What?
What is child abuse?
Hello? That's child abuse. You let your kids do what you want. I've seen a lot of liberals do this. The kid gets older. He's 14, 15, 16. They're bringing guns to school. And the kid comes in and he says, my parents never said I couldn't bring a gun to school.
You're jumping lanes here, because how you're born has nothing to do with whether or not your parents are letting you bring guns or letting you have access to guns. This is very apples and oranges here. You're talking about nature and natural things and the way that somebody's born. Again, that's like saying if your child's born gay, you can beat it out of them, or you can change them. You cannot, Tom. If someone is born gay or lesbian, that's who they are, regardless of what the parents want to say or do about it. And if your child's born with gender dysphoria, again, it's not what the parents can't change the fundamental DNA of who their child is, Tom. It doesn't work that way.
Yes, it does. That's their duty. That is their
their duty is
Tom.
Their duty is Tom. All right, Tom. Duty, a parent's duty is to raise their children and to instill values and moral compasses, right from wrong, give them an education, give them love and support. They cannot change who they are. They are who they are. So you're telling, if we go by your reasoning here, if the child is born gay, the parents should do what? Send them to conversion therapy? Beat them if
how are they going to be born gay? These kids they're 3,
Tom,
4,
do you
5,
think
6, 7,
wait a minute,
8,
Tom, we gotta get by the absolute fundamental first. Do you think people are not born gay or lesbian? You think that's a choice, yes or no?
But it's how they're molded. They are molded by the parents. They're not born gay.
Molded.
They woke up when they're 2 years old. And
Tom,
like
I got
girls
news for you,
girls,
buddy.
you know?
Tom, I got news for you. They're born gay or they're born straight. They're born a lesbian or they're not. It is not a choice.
No.
Say again?
It is a choice.
No, Tom, it's not a
choice
choice.
from the
You're
parents.
just very wrong on this. It has nothing to do. You're making it sound like if the parents let their son watch Sound of Music too many times, they're going to be
I've
gay.
seen it.
Say again?
I've seen this happen. What the parents do to liberals, the Democrats, what they do to their
No,
kids.
that you're talking
And then
about
they're
a different thing.
saying, "Oh, how
Because
come
I'll
my
go
kid
along
isn't
with this,
like that?"
Tom. I'll go along so far as to say it seems that this wave of gender dysphoria or this thing for transitioning happens to be, it's like a coastal issue. It's in the blue cities, and maybe you've got leftist type parents who are, and I do think that some of these parents brag about their child's dysphoria as some kind of badge of honor. That might be happening, and I think we can point to a lot of examples of that happening. But let me tell you definitively that if a child is born with gender dysphoria or if they're born homosexual, it is the way they are born. Nothing the parents do or say is either going to make them that way or unmake them from that way. You were born gay or you were born. No, Tom, how do you come to this conclusion? How do you get there?
I've seen parents with listen to this, a boy with his mother, right? She's dressing him up like a girl, 5 years old, 6 years old, 7, 8 years old, put lipstick on him. It's not the kid that's doing this. It's the parents that are warped. The parents got to be straightened out, thrown in prison. You abuse your kids like this, you'll go into a labor camp in Nevada for 2 years. You'll come
again,
straight.
Tom, you're talking about
that.
two different things.
Don't talk.
For for the look, we're
reality.
against the clock, Tom. Thank you very much for the call. I greatly appreciate it, but we're against the clock. But here's the thing on this, definitively, Tom, and anyone else who has this question: children, people, human beings, we are born wherever you are in the spectrum as far as sexuality. You're either born straight, gay, or somewhere in between. You cannot change it. The parents will not change it. This is a classic argument of nurture versus environment. Nurture and nature. Look, if a child's born gay, they are gay. Nothing the parents do is going to unmake them gay or unchange them, or vice versa. Nothing the parents do are going to change them to be homosexual if they are in fact. Now, you can influence their behavior, you can reward them or force them to do certain things, but it does not change the fundamental DNA of how they're born, nor does it work with gender dysphoria. People are born feeling that they have been born into the wrong body. That's a real thing. Now, parents who are coming from this point of view that I'm not going, just because they have a penis, I'm not going to dress them in blue and give them G.I. Joe trucks to play with. Okay, that's a whole different conversation. But Tom, people are born gay, people are born lesbian, nothing you can do about it. It just isn't. You're wrong. That's just not the way it works. This wraps up the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. Back tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock for the Thursday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. Frankie Boyer is coming up next here on AM 830 WCRN. All right, folks. Enjoy your day. Joe out.